Will we see the NXT Championship defended at WrestleMania? Let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, here with your NXT review for February 3rd, 2021. We are on our way to TakeOver. We're going to talk about that momentarily. This is where I would usually stick in the house cleaning, and I am going to stick in the house cleaning, but first of all, I want to send a quick shout out to all of my co-hosts. As you guys know, I didn't do any solo reviews last week. I didn't review NXT, I didn't review SmackDown, I didn't review the little bit that happened on 205 Live that had to do with NXT, and there's a reason for that. We had two passings, or at the time, one passing, and then into the weekend, a second passing in my extended family, and it sucks because there's COVID and there's nothing you can do about it, so all you can do is sit around and think and be miserable about it, and I didn't want to come on camera, I didn't want to do solo stuff, but at the same time, I did need a distraction, and I did need to do something, so Guapo and Jake and myself did the preview for the Royal Rumble. That was a lot of fun. I'm sure it was especially fun for Guapo, who doesn't really pay attention to main roster WWE anymore. We might do that a little bit going forward as we go through WrestleMania season. I will talk more about my thoughts on the Royal Rumble as a whole. I'll stick them somewhere in my SmackDown review this week, and then Kristen and I, of course, did the third and fourth episodes of WandaVision, and a little bit of a separate video on all the rumors leading up into Spider-Man 3 in the MCU, where we think that might be going, etc. So those are all there. I mean, checking out the Royal Rumble preview now is probably a bit pointless, but it is a lot of fun. We did touch on a lot of other topics in the process of talking about the Royal Rumble, so please go check that out. Check out the Flicks Fix stuff that Kristen and I are doing. Like I say, 2 episodes of WandaVision and the separate thing on Spider-Man. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, thank you to Jake and to Guapo and to Kristen, A, for having a lot of fun with me here on this channel, B, for giving me a distraction, C, because if it wasn't for them, you probably wouldn't have gotten anything out of me last week, and I know there's a small handful of people that pay attention on social media and know what was happening with me at the time and reached out with condolences, etc. I don't really want to get into it. Nothing to do with the ongoing global health situation. Neither one of those particular scenarios had to do anything with COVID. Not that it makes it any better or any worse, just we're all still locked in, the world's still on pause. It's a bit shit, so yeah, for anybody that was wondering, if there's anybody that was wondering, that's why you didn't see my pretty sexy face and the gimmick hat last week on any solo stuff. Speaking of, now I get to go back into pure plug myself mode. If you're watching me right here, right now, you see the pretty sexy face and the gimmick hat, you want to see me in an audio platform, go check me out, Spaz Phoenix Podcast on Spotify, iTunes, etc., etc., etc. If you're listening to me in audio and you want to see the pretty sexy face and you want to see the gimmick hat, go to YouTube, search Spaz Phoenix, go to Twitter, find me at Spaz Phoenix and Spaz Phoenix 1, go to Instagram, find me at Spaz Phoenix, and then hop on over to Facebook and the Spaz Phoenix Podcast Facebook group. Please throw me a like, throw me a share, and most importantly, because apparently it matters more than it used to, throw me some comments down in the box below, even if it just says, "Hey Spaz, I left a comment." Now, because I didn't do any solo reviews last week, I want to do a blitz through what happened last week. What happened last week on NXT? MSK defeated Dane and Maverick, which is fine because one's an oddball team, one's an actual team, and one's a debuting team. Kai and Gonzalez defeated Aaliyah and Jessie Camilla. Wasn't really surprised by that in the slightest. Tyler Rust, accompanied by Malcolm Bivens, had a squash match, which is nice. They did the whole selfie thing after the match to show that they're arrogant heels. It's fine. Grizzled Young Veterans defeated the team of Kushida and Rush, who were then attacked by The Way and then saved by Dexter Lumis, because Dexter Lumis needs to ruin things. Io Shirai was attacked by both Toni Storm and Mercedes Martinez for costing them their spots in the Women's Dusty Classic. Pursuant to the weekend, we get the announcement that the first match announced for the next TakeOver is a triple threat between Shirai and Storm and Martinez, which is nice. Bronson Reed defeated Swerve. They are really giving Bronson Reed a push, are they not? Balor and O'Reilly in the main event defeated Lorcan and Burch after the match. There was some numbers game stuff, and Dunn sent Balor a message by snapping his fingers. Oh yes. On 205 Live, there was some triple threat match that I didn't really care about, and Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon defeated Jessamine Duke and what's her name? Something Stark. I'm sorry, I don't mean to disrespect them. You guys know this is the team that I was waiting for to come out. And I will say, although Catanzaro and Carter are the ones in this tournament that are the actual tag team, and there's every reason why they should win, just check out Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon's entrance on 205. I know nobody watches 205 Live. It's fine. But check out their entrance. Check out the whole tank gimmick, the fact that they tried to make their gear similar, the fact that they've both held on to their own gimmicks and made them work together. Shotzi and Ember seem to be all in on this, and that is a lot of fun. Now, what did we find out today? On the heels of the Royal Rumble, Edge was going to be on the show tonight, and immediately fans from the other side of the fence were hopping on. Oh, well, why are they going on that show? Edge isn't on that show, says the show that basically stole a women's division from NWA and has the crossover with Impact. Now, oh, well, Edge is old. Isn't NXT supposed to be the young company? Says the brand who made Chris Jericho their champion. It goes right up there along with the people on Sunday night that got mad at me. And this has nothing to do with the Royal Rumble. As I say, with the Royal Rumble, I'm going to talk more about what I thought about the Royal Rumble on Friday when I do my SmackDown podcast. But the Kevin Owens Roman Reigns match, where they did that spot with that golf cart, and all the ignorant and obnoxious and willfully brainwashed people. Why are we beeping? Why is this a thing? People that were, AEW did it first. And I just have to say, facts don't care about your feelings, and Kane, Big Show, and Raven would like a word with ya. Oh, yes. And, just in general, the whole idea that AEW owns vehicle spots is quite hysterical. Now, the other thing we got just today is the actual name for the next TakeOver. It's happening a week on Sunday. And I really thought they were going to dip into the nostalgia pool. I thought they were going to do TakeOver St. Valentine's Day Massacre. They've done something a little bit better in my case, because they've called it NXT TakeOver Vengeance Day. Now, if you look at the logo, there's a couple different things that I love about this. And this is me overthinking things. This is not me giving them way more credit than they deserve. This is just why I enjoy things. Now, Vengeance is a nostalgic pay-per-view. It's an old school pay-per-view name. It's fine. The fact that they are calling it Vengeance Day is still a nod to the fact that it's Valentine's Day. So they're still paying a nod to St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Now, if you look at the old Vengeance logo, they've not only taken the name, but they've taken the big V in the circle. It's all good, except they've turned the end of the V into the devil's tail. Now, two things could go on there. You get a lot of angels and devils references when Valentine's Day comes around, so it could be yet another hint over to the St. Valentine's Day Massacre theme, or it could be leftover from literally last month, where we had New Year's Evil, and they had the devil in the logo and whatever, and you had obviously the forked tail. There's a lot of cool things about that, and here's the big pull. Here's the big stretch. Here's the thing that everybody's going to laugh at me about. If you want to talk about St. Valentine's Day Massacre, think about the main event of St. Valentine's Day Massacre. No, I'm not talking about the debut of Paul White before we named him the Big Show. I'm thinking of the steel cage match between Vince McMahon and Steve Austin. Now, the main event of St. Valentine's Day Massacre was a steel cage. The thing is, Vengeance Day is going to take place in the CWC. And look at the aesthetic of the CWC. The whole CWC looks like a cage. I love this. This is the kind of thing that people hate me for loving, but I don't care. I think it's great. You're going to tell me in the comment section below that I'm wrong, that I'm crazy, that I'm making things up. But then again, if you're going to tell me that I'm wrong, you're probably watching that other company that thinks long-term storytelling just means the story has to go on forever and ever. Paige and Omega, I'm looking at you. Now, why don't we finally talk about this week's show? Because I've been rambling almost 11 minutes. By the time I edited this together and I put the intro on the beginning, it will be 11 minutes. I have to remember, when I'm doing this, that there is an intro and an outro that goes on after I'm done blabbering. So February 3rd, 2021, we start off with Kyan Gonzalez versus Catanzaro. It's going to be one of those videos, guys. Casey Catanzaro and Caden Carter, who I love. They're like the Young Bucks, but a little bit better. Kai and Catanzaro start the match. There's a headlock arm drag combination by Catanzaro, a top rope arm drag, a double team by Catanzaro and Carter. Gonzalez and Carter trade some shots in the middle of the ring, which causes all four women to come into the ring and brawl. Isn't it awesome? They're all tiny and Gonzalez looks like fucking Gulliver. It's fine. My feed breaks for a little bit because we don't get NXT in Canada on the day that it's happening because WWE doesn't love us. It's fine. The feed comes back. There's a series of drop kicks and a body scissor by Carter, who gets tossed out of the ring by Gonzalez as we go to the commercial break. Deadlift backbreaker by Gonzalez as we come back from the commercial break. Mudhole by Catanzaro. A head scissor leg drop combination by Catanzaro, and a dive off of the, whatever you want to call those posts, those big Rubik's Cube looking things that are by commentary literally for no reason because I don't think they're holding up anything, by Carter. Of course it was by Carter. A double team assisted go to kick by Kyan Gonzalez, backpack sleeper by Carter, a rope assisted face buster, a drop kick, a head scissor, and a crazy dive by Catanzaro. Carter eats the steps super hard. Catanzaro eats a one-arm powerbomb by Gonzalez, who's a monster. Kyan Gonzalez goes on, and it kind of breaks my heart a little bit. It really does kind of break my heart a little bit because Catanzaro and Carter are the actual tag team. Now, I'll tell you why I love this in a second. I'm not casting any dispersions on Gonzalez and Kai. If anybody listened to the breakdown of the NXT women's division that Jake and I just finished up recently, nothing but heap and praise on Gonzalez and Kai as individual wrestlers. But the idea that 2 steps from the mark you take out the only team in a tag team tournament, it's not really that great. But on the other side of the coin, I'll give you this, because you're going to have a heel-face dynamic going into that match that's taking place on the TakeOver, which was confirmed tonight because they don't always do that. And Kai and Gonzalez are now going to take on the winner of The Way versus Shotzi and Ember. Now, if The Way won, that would be heel versus heel, and I don't think they would particularly do that. Shotzi and Ember are going to the finals. Shotzi and Ember are going to win because they haven't said it yet. They say it for the men's, but they don't say for the women's whether or not they're getting a shot at the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships, although why wouldn't they? What else would your prize be? Now, I really want to see Shotzi and Ember take those belts off Baszler and Jax. Mostly because I want Baszler to go off and have an awesome singles run on the main roster, and also because the idea of Nia Jax holding gold kind of makes me vomit in my mouth a little bit. Now, I will say there's probably going to be some bullshit next week, or maybe a non-finish. So if it ends up being Kai and Gonzalez versus Shotzi and Ember versus The Way, I will have no problem with that whatsoever. It'll differentiate it a little bit from the men's, and that's really good, isn't it? Overall, really cool. Like I say, feel bad for Catanzaro and Carter. I'm sure they will do other cool things eventually. There's a lot of social media stuff and a lot of social media hype, like I say, between them and MSK, just sort of hyping each other up, which I think is really cool. Now, they're not going to face each other because WWE doesn't do intergender wrestling. At least they don't do it properly unless it's Sasha Banks and you're just looking to bury the men. Let's just, quickly pour one out for Reginald on SmackDown, because that's not a bit of bullshit at all, is it? They take a minute, and I thought this was really cool. This has nothing to do with wrestling. I did think it was really cool, though. This was announced on social media last week as well. I thought it was really classy of them to mention it on the show. Beth Phoenix and Nosferatu there took a minute to congratulate Wade Barrett on passing his U.S. citizenship and becoming a full-fledged American citizen. I'm not even American, but he looks like he's happy about it, so I'm happy for him. It's as simple as that. Backstage, Toni Storm talks some shit about the triple threat match that they're going to have at TakeOver, and she's going to show them what she can do later on tonight. I wonder if there's going to be any ridiculousness there. Austin Theory, who everybody loves right now. Here's the thing, and here is the thing. What's the big news of today? Big news of today, or big news of this week so far anyways, is the fact that Lars Sullivan finally got fired from WWE. Now, we're celebrating the fact that the guy that said some mean things on the internet got fired. We're upset that guys like Austin Theory and Riddle, who debatably did nothing, because I haven't seen anything, but we're also making sure to still defend the Velveteen Dream, who has proof floating around out there for anybody you want to see. He's trying to diddle kids, etc. But I'm sure only 3 days in, the February effect is in full effect, and I definitely, at least for the next 30 days or so, can't expect anybody to look at that situation with any fairness, can I? So yes, am I loving the fact that Austin Theory is on my TV tonight? Yes. Is it a big fuck you to all those people that are out there still defending Velveteen Dream? Yes. Is it also cool that he's part of one of the biggest acts on NXT? Yes. Is it great that he won tonight? Yes. Is the thing that happened after the match great? No. Let's get into it. So he's facing Leon Ruff, by the way, if I didn't mention that. And I'm actually surprised, considering the February effect, that Leon Ruff took a loss tonight. But anyway, side headlock by Ruff. Drop kick and a low Pele kick to start off the match. Drop toe hold into the buckle and a back suplex by Theory. Hard Irish whip by Theory. A snap vertical. Punts him into the ribs. Choke on the ropes by Theory and a left hand right to the jaw as he's on the ropes. Body shots by Ruff and lariat by Theory and a drop kick by Ruff. A mule kick to Gargano on the outside by Ruff, because Gargano's just there, and I guess he looked kickable, I suppose. They get back in the ring. They get back at it. They go into a brief sequence of chain wrestling. They both knock each other down. There's a really, really nice, credit to both guys, really cool double knockdown spot. They usually look pretty contrived. This was pretty cool. Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae come out to check on Gargano, who just took a mule kick to the face, but they're taken out by Shotzi and Ember, because those four are going to fight next week. Continuous storytelling. We love it. And in all the kerfuffle, the referee ejects Johnny Gargano. For reasons, Ruff takes advantage, because that's what baby faces do, and hits a cutter on Theory. Ruff eats the guardrail on the outside, gets the ATL. Theory wins with the ATL, and then hits him with another ATL post-match. And then gets attacked by Dexter Lumis, because we can't have nice things. And Dexter Lumis pulls out some of his hair and sniffs it, and there's a Biden joke in there that I'm not going to touch. Moving on. We see the legend of Tian Sha, who is apparently this entity that has been mentoring Xia Li and Boa, and it's all done in like paintbrush style cartoons, and basically her father was killed and her brother was a dictator, and she went and fought a dragon and got her heart back or some bullshit, and she came back and became, you know, the ruler. But to be the ruler, she had to be what she hated, and she had to become a monster. And then it fades from the painting to this cloaked figure that we've seen in the past couple of weeks. I love this. I fully love this in-universe Mortal Kombat thing that they've going on with Xia Li and Boa. I mean, if you look over on Impact, where people are getting shot and Tommy Dreamer's a detective and all this kind of thing, and other shows have dragons and aliens, I don't mind a 1,000-year-old war goddess being a mentor to Xia Li, because it's going to do good things for her career, and the entrance is beyond ridiculous. I love it. I hope they... I want Boa and Xia Li to be the first ever and title doesn't exist, first ever NXT Mixed Tag Team Champions. How about that? Phantasma versus Lucha House Party in the Dusty Classic. This was really good. And I know what people will say if they only watch main roster WWE. Lucha House Party just need to stay on NXT because they're really good. They had a really good match. I will say, there's not very many good things to say about Monday Night Raw right now other than The Fiend and Alexa Bliss. Yes, I said it. Fight me. But I will say the Hurt Business versus the Lucha House Party this week on Raw, randomly out of nowhere, was a really, really good match. And then they went on to have a good match here as well. The commentary did a great job reminding us that they had that big match on Monday night with the Hurt Business because, you know, people aren't watching Raw. I get it. Speaking of which, ratings were really, really close last week. I guess the other show had some technical difficulties. New Kids on the Block, we can give them some credit. We can give them a pass. It's okay, boys. I'm sure you'll do better next time. Your knockoff bash at the beach tonight, I'm sure, is going wonderfully. Mendoza and Dorado start the match as a head scissor by Dorado, an arm drag by Dorado, a double spine buster by Phantasma, and double team beatdown in the corner by Phantasma. Knees to the back by Mendoza. Crossbody and a series of kicks by Metalik. Suicide dive by Wild as we go to the commercial break. I will say, suicide dive by Joaquin Wild is always crisp as fuck. I know I said I was kind of bummed, and I've been saying for a while that I'm kind of bummed that he got sucked into this gimmick instead of somebody that needed it, like Mendoza, because I wanted to see what he would do with the DJZ character when he came over to NXT. I'm slowly fading away from that because I think he's really sinking deep into the Phantasma gimmick, and I think I probably should have given it more credit when it first started. So hey, hand on heart, I was wrong. Or not necessarily wrong, maybe I just wasn't giving it enough chance that I should have. Coming back from the commercial break, there's a second rope sunset flip powerbomb by Metalik, back elbow drop, chops by Dorado, and a top rope crossbody. I can speak, I swear. Body shots by Wild, two-story splash by Dorado right off of Metalik's shoulders, double DDT on both of them by Wild, tossed out by Dorado. Metalik hits this insane thing on Mendoza. Mendoza's crouched on the ropes. Metalik is standing on the rope in front of him. Manages to stick his feet under the top rope and bounce off the second rope. Take him down with a head scissor, sort of inside-out style. Head scissors him off of the top rope to the outside onto his partner as a setup for an inside-out moonsault by Dorado. That was fucking insane. That is something that should win a match. But instead, get him back in the ring because everybody's shaken up at this point. Knee strike, leg sweep combination. I can speak, I swear, by Phantasma. Gets the win. And they're going to face MSK next week in the semi-final. MSK come out to cut a promo, which is great. I thought they were going to brawl right then and there. Didn't go where I thought it was going to go, but that's fine. MSK versus Phantasma next week is going to be an exercise in how fast I can write things down. Is it not? Phantasma as a team are really great. Like I say, Lucha House Party in the NXT context are really great. I hope they stay. I hope they find something for them to do. If they don't, if Phantasma, whatever, doesn't win the Dusty Classic, which I don't think they will, I want them to take Kalisto out of catering on SmackDown, put him with his boys. They can have a trios match at the pay-per-view just because, and it'll be fucking great. Don't think that's going to happen. And now let's just blend into a whole bunch of things that I hope are going to happen. And I really feel like WWE is going to break my heart on this, but it's fine. In the back, we see Dunn, Lorcan, and Birch arriving at the arena. You know, basically the only thing you can hear them saying clearly is, let's go find Balor. Come into the ring. They grab the microphone. Pete Dunne says, I warned Balor, and then last week I warned him again, and he didn't listen. He wouldn't give me a chance at what's mine. He wouldn't give me a chance at what I'm owed. So I snapped his fingers. I hope I don't have to do that again. Balor comes out, says he's still hiding behind his clowns. Lorcan and Birch sort of take a step back so that Dunn can step forward. He announces that Dunn and Balor are going to have their match at TakeOver Vengeance Day for the NXT Championship, and then they are interrupted by Edge. And I will say, yes, I'm marked out. Yes, I'm sitting here with the biggest, goofiest grin on my face trying to talk about this in a normal YouTube/ podcast review type thing, but I'm just marking out. I'm just enjoying. I will say, the Edge entrance, the Metalingus Alter Bridge music, the You Think You Know Me ringing out through the CWC, surrounded by all the black and gold, was very, very surreal. And you could tell Edge just loved being there before he said a word, because he said a lot. He said a lot positive. But you could just tell that he was soaking it all in. And he said, it feels good to be here. Over on Raw and SmackDown, they focus on the E, but here they focus on the second W, the wrestling. They focus on the passion, the fire, and the hunger. He says, I am here because I just won the Rumble on Sunday. I can challenge any champion in the WWE. And he looks at Balor and he says, I've never had that. And seeing what's going on between you two guys makes that really intriguing. He puts both of them over like crazy. He says Dunn reminds him of himself, but like for better and for worse. And he says to Balor, you're operating on a level that most people don't even get to see. I'll be watching the takeover in a week and a half, and if I haven't made my choice by then, maybe that will help me make my choice. I'm looking at this, and I know logically WWE wants Edge on either Raw or SmackDown for the ratings. WWE wants Edge to have the Universal or WWE Championship to get ratings onto those shows, but god damn it. They tried it last year with Charlotte, and it didn't work. Having the Rumble winner come and face the popular champion and all that kind of thing. WrestleMania's 2 nights. You can have your actual main event. Your actual main event is going to be whoever faces Drew or whoever faces Roman. And I'm fine with that. But the fact that you have 2 nights, this is the last time we're going to do a 2-night WrestleMania, apparently, because the next 2 WrestleManias that they've announced are going back to the 1-night format. You can pretend, you can play around with that first night's main event. If the first night's main event is, well, whoever's the champion. I'm assuming it's going to be Balor, so I'm just going to say Balor. If the first night's main event is Balor versus Edge for the NXT Championship, not only is that so different from every other thing we've ever seen at a WrestleMania, not only does that do for the title, not only does that do for the brand, not only does that do for Balor, not only does that give incredible credence to everything that Edge has been saying this week, that he's going to be a full-time star, that he's going to be working every week, he's not going to work a part-time schedule, he's not going to show up and take a paycheck and leave. Literally, it helps everybody. It gives WrestleMania a different flavor, a different spin, whatever the case may be. It gives that title a chance to shine. It gives Balor a chance to be on the main roster stage as the NXT version of him. It works on every level. You go back to a couple years ago when they did the TakeOver and then the Survivor Series, where the TakeOver, they had a triple threat match to see who would get to defend that NXT championship on the Survivor Series card. That was a big deal. Not because you thought a title was going to change hands. It was basically an exhibition. I think it was Cole and Dunn at the time. But to put that title on that stage, just to give the mainstream audience that are used to the watered-down crap that we get on mostly Raw, but also SmackDown, a chance to say, like, hey, if you tune in on Wednesday, this is what you can see. You can see this version of Finn Balor that is fucking awesome. You can see this product that is fucking awesome. And you can see... And I'm not putting Balor down when I say this because he's not a kid, but you can see Edge that everybody's questioning because suddenly he's too old even though Jericho's fine, keeping up with one of the young kids in the young kid. This, I swear to God, if it doesn't happen now, WWE have worked me into a shoot here, because if this doesn't happen now, I'm going to be pissed. But this would literally help everybody. And yes, as I say, I'm going to say it again, you can only get away with this because there's a 2-night, two WrestleManias, 2 main events. And I'm sorry, I'm going to say this, and you can hate me as much as you want. Balor versus Edge for the NXT Championship is way better than whatever the fuck Bianca Belair chooses to do with the Royal Rumble win that she didn't deserve. I said it. Moving on. Also, go catch the screenshots. Her feet touch the floor. Ripley's didn't. Moving on. Really good. We got Gargano backstage. He's in the middle of an interview. He doesn't want to talk about himself. Every time he's asked about himself, he keeps putting the focus on other people. He says, Austin Theory tonight against Leon Ruff showed everybody the way. The girls are going to go on and win the the semifinals of the Dusty Classic and go on to the pay-per-view and show everybody the way. And then the announcer, can't think of her name because I'm an asshole, said, well, what about the news that we just got from William Regal's office that you're going to be defending the North American Championship against Kushida? Immediately takes her to Regal's office because he thinks she's lying, says he's banging on Regal's door trying to get her fired. Kushida comes out. Kushida says Regal's not available right now, and they brawl, and then I blink for a split second, and Gargano's on the ground holding his arm. So I'm assuming he was in the hoverboard lock for at least a second. Moving on. Still good, though. Toni Storm versus Jessi Kamea. I mean, it happens, but it basically doesn't happen because Mercedes Martinez comes in, jumps her. Io Shirai jumps in as well to watch the two of them kill each other, and then she hits an inside-out moonsault on both of her challengers and stands tall with the belt. That's cool. That's enough. The person on the other side, like I say, was Jessi Kamea, who's there with Robert Stone and Aaliyah. I don't know if it's been made official that Kamea and Aaliyah are an actual tag team or whether that was just for the Dusty Classic. But I mean, if the Robert Stone brand is expanding, that's cool. But he basically took his characters out as soon as these three started going at it. That match doesn't need any more build. That match, you could just put, is one of those things, and NXT is really good at this. You put enough players on the board, you put a fight graphic up, and sometimes mention two names. Like, that's all it takes. Like, for me, right now, all you'd have to say, because we've already seen it once, and because Shotzi's built herself up so much now, and I'm a huge fan of Shotzi, really behind her, etc., all you would have to do is put up a graphic on Twitter tomorrow. This is Io Shirai versus Shotzi Blackheart for the title, and I'm there. You don't really need to do anything with it, and it's... Martinez is the interesting one, though, because I think Mercedes Martinez, I said this in a video a while ago as well, I don't think she's there to grab all the spotlight and all the headlight and all the main event spots of this women's division. I do think she's there to be a more effective version of what Natalya is for the main roster. Really good hand, really good mentor to a lot of other people, a lot of experience to contribute. I feel like whether it's Io Shirai or whether it's Toni Storm, it's going to be Mercedes Martinez that eats the pin in this match, which is mind-boggling because she is terrifying. I'm so happy that she pulled herself out of the Retribution gimmick. But yeah, that was the first match, and I always say this, that was the first match announced officially for TakeOver Vengeance Day, and I figure the first match that they announce for any particular pay-per-view is the match that they're using to initially sell the pay-per-view. So that's a lot of weight on these three ladies' shoulders, and I think it's really cool. If you ask me personally, I think Storm versus Shirai one-on-one is slightly better, because I do think NXT occasionally leans on the multi-person matches a little bit too much, especially in the mid-card. But it's going to be really good in this card. We're going to talk about this card at the end when I'm done talking about tonight's show, and it's already building up really strongly. Santos Escobar versus Kurt Stallion, which was supposed to happen last week, except they beat him down. Now, I wasn't expecting this, and I didn't mention this when I did my little rundown of last week, but he found a tarot card in his bag while he was packing up his belt after Regal yelled at him last week. And I thought that was really interesting. And I thought, does this mean this? Does this mean that? But then you think back to a couple weeks ago when he cut promo on all the other champions and potential champions in NXT, and he took a specific amount of time to talk about one person that we're going to talk about in a second. But this match, what I will say about this match, and it's unfortunate, this match was so good that I wish I cared more. I like Santos Escobar. I like the Legado del Fantasma faction. I do not know how I'm supposed to take Kurt Stallion at all. And he comes off like a dork that's trying to sound cool. And yes, I know, ironic, coming from me. But if I saw this exact match and gave a shit about Kurt Stallion, I would have said bump this to the main event. because it was really good. Collar and elbow tie-up and knee shots and clubbing forearms by Escobar. Stomps to the face, a cravata snapmare, and a seated abdominal stretch. Rebound drop kick by Escobar and a seated key lock. Corner chops by Escobar, high knee in the corner. And then, for reasons, Scarlett is up on the balcony, which is lovely. I'm never going to complain about Scarlett being on my screen. Ever. Dropkick and a takedown by Escobar. Tilt-a-whirl backbreaker. Clothesline out of the ring by Stallion. Sends us to commercial break. Why am I dinging? Why is that a thing? Coming back from the commercial break, we see Stallion down on the outside, and then we see on the replay that he was backdropped on the steel steps by Escobar. Knee shots by Escobar. Modified muscle buster by Escobar. Now, there's a lot of focus on the midsection by Escobar in this match, which is really good. Single leg crab by Escobar, who chokes Stallion with his own arm as he rolls him over into a bow and arrow lock. And then, once he gets out of the bow and arrow lock, for the fuck of it, and I don't know how to say this in Spanish, I'm sorry, but we get, say it loud, say it proud, the Daniel Bryan silly kicks. Oh yes, both men trade some shots at the German suplex by Stallion, followed by a forearm shot, splash by Stallion, a corner exploder by Escobar, headbutt by Stallion, a drop kick but a phantom driver, and some other thing that I don't have a name for gets the win for Escobar. And then Scarlett smiles, which is scary for everybody. KROSS, with no pomp and circumstance whatsoever, just walks his ass down the ramp. Takes out Wilde, takes out Mendoza, steps up to Escobar, and he basically is like, I think he starts it off by saying, I think we have an issue. He says, right now what I'm going to give you is the gift of time, and it's a double-edged sword, because now you've just got more time to think about what I'm going to do to you. And then he sort of brushes, like he does that brushing off motion with his hand. He's like, you can go now. And I'm just like, he's so fucking he's intense, right? But there's an intensity, there's a sarcasm in his intensity, because he didn't say, get out of my ring. He said, you can go now, in the most terrifying way possible. Now, here is what I love, because here is, and I didn't think of it until I saw it on my television today, what the cruiserweight division is missing is a story or a feud or whatever that can tell us that the cruiserweights don't live on an island, that the cruiserweights are part of the rest of the roster. Because if you're talking about a certain group of people that are a certain weight, and they're only a certain people that fit this certain criteria can fight for this certain title, there is an alienating fact. It doesn't help that a lot of the 205 stuff happens on 205 Live either. But as silly as it sounds, if you think way back in the day to TNA, and yes, I know I'm dating myself when I say this, look at the rivalry that Kevin Nash had with the X Division. Now laugh at me. Go ahead and laugh at me for saying that. But it's true. You need somebody that's not a cruiserweight to step up to the cruiserweight champion, because if the cruiserweight champion can stand up to the rest of the roster, then that division becomes part of the roster. And I don't know why I haven't thought of that till just now. When Jake and I break down this pay-per-view next week when we do our preview for Vengeance Day, I'm going to get into this in a lot more detail, but this is really good. There's a lot of different intermingling stories happening with the main title right now. I don't know quite where you slot Karrion Kross into that picture, but in the meantime, have a completely different type of feud with a cruiserweight, a guy like Escobar, who he can ragdoll, and it's not going to matter that he ragdolls him, because it's not like he's going to take the title off him. Escobar is still going to have his title. He's still going to rule over his part of the division. Karrion Kross can have himself a different kind of match and show his flexibility. He can ragdoll the other two goobers, because I don't think they're winning the Dusty Classic, so they're not going to be the tag team champions anytime soon. This is very interesting. It's not going to be a main event concern, but this is very interesting. It's the closest thing I could say would be if within the mid-card you had title versus title. Like if you had, they're both heels right now, but if you had champion and champion, the North American champion and the cruiserweight champion fighting each other for like what's the better title in the cruiserweight or in the middle of the card, etc. But I'm sort of rambling over this because it's kind of brilliant. It's kind of, and I mean, Karrion Kross is going to do a lot more for the cruiserweight champion than Kevin Nash did for the X division, isn't he? As we come back from commercial break, you do in fact see Karrion Kross telling Edge to choose what title he goes after very carefully, because he's not going to be dealing with Dunn or Balor. That's his title. He never lost it. He's going to get it back. You're going to have to deal with him. And Edge's response is great, and he's like, saying shit like that is just the right kind of motivation for me to come back. They're teasing me with this. They're teasing me with Edge going for the NXT Championship at WrestleMania, and when it doesn't happen, I'm going to be very sad. But for now, guys, everybody out there, do me a favor. I know it's probably not going to happen, but for now, for the next, 69 days? Nice. Let me live in the bubble that where Edge going for the NXT Championship exists. Now, main event: Cole and Strong versus Ciampa and Thatcher to progress off in the Dusty Classic to the semi-finals to face the Grizzled Young Veterans. I shouldn't do accents, I know, it's fine. Cole and Ciampa start off the match as a stiff collar and elbow tie-up, a side headlock by Ciampa, a shoulder tackle, and a headlock takeover, a pinning reversal sequence follow. Grounded side headlock by Ciampa, a face-first takedown, I can't read my writing. Strong and Thatcher both tag in. There's an extended chain wrestling sequence between the two of them that's absolutely fantastic. Figure 4 headlock by Thatcher. Figure 4 headlock is a terrifying enough move as it is. When you've got such a size disparity as there is between Thatcher and Strong, something like a figure 4 headlock is an absolutely monstrous thing to consider. Then he rolls him over and keylocks the arm just for the hell of it. Chop versus uppercut battle goes on from there. Corner beatdown by Cole. Front face lock by Thatcher. Mud hole stomp by Ciampa. Ciampa works the arm. And then he hits a back elbow to the face. Mud hole stomp by Thatcher. Mud hole stomp by Ciampa. And both of those are broken up by a boot by Strong. All 4 men get pissed off. All 4 men jump the ring as we go to commercial break. As we do. Neck vice by Thatcher, body shots by Ciampa. Strong and Ciampa have a chop battle. Knee shots to the body once he's taken Strong down. That's what it says. My writing is terrible. I'm sorry. Enziguri by Cole, Ushigoroshi, figure 4 by Strong. Figure 4 by Cole and a stronghold by Strong on both men. The tandem submission spot by Undisputed Era is always good. Palm strike and a stalling German suplex by Thatcher, a German suplex by Ciampa, a running knee by Ciampa, an angle slam by Strong, super kick by Cole, double super kick by Cole and Strong. Everybody kind of brawls to the back, and by the time they get back in, Willow's Bell by Ciampa on Strong gets the win for Ciampa and Thatcher. Ciampa and Thatcher go on to face Grizzled Young Veterans next week, and for the hell of it, out come the Grizzled Young Veterans on the ramp to have a little bit of a stare down that turns into a little bit of a scuffle as we go off the air. There's a lot to digest there. Number one, and I don't think this is going to be the top of anybody's list because there's so much else going on. Legado del Fantasma had a really good night tonight. Legado del Fantasma have moved on in the Dusty Classic as a tag team. They've retained the Cruiserweight Championship as a singles concern. I'm still going to say it. When they said last week, when William Regal said, hey, if you don't have this match that you were supposed to have with Stallion last week, if you don't have it this week, there's going to be severe, severe consequences. I really thought that was going to be the reintroduction of Jordan Devlin. I know they need a guy over there. Apparently he's doing I haven't watched UK in a bit. It's fine. I know he's over there doing an open challenge right now. That's cool. That's something that... something fast-paced and exciting to get people watching NXT UK, which still doesn't have a crowd, which is unfortunate. But you need to bring him back eventually. Now, what I would like to see, because we have a week and a half to do it, and I'm sure some sort of travel situation can be arranged. If we got Dunn over, if we got the Grizzled Young Veterans over, if we got Imperium over, apparently Walter's coming back, if we've got, XYZ... you got Pac over in AEW, poor him. I'm sure you can get Devlin on a plane for TakeOver Vengeance Day. Now, I just said, it's not going to hurt Legado del Fantasma or Escobar to get ragdolled by Karrion Kross, who exists sort of outside that cruiserweight bubble. It would be really, really great if they go into the pay-per-view, Karrion Kross kills him, Karrion Kross kills his backup, and then out comes Jordan Devlin to stand over the imposter cruiserweight champion, because that's what he is. He only became the champion. He only became the interim cruiserweight champion when Devlin was stuck over in the UK. Now, to see the imposter champion already destroyed and just stand over him with the quote-unquote real cruiserweight championship, the, shall we say, undisputed NXT cruiserweight championship, would be an awesome pay-per-view moment. And I know it's not a real pay-per-view, it's just on the network, Raw. We can get into a whole conversation about all the Peacock stuff. We'll do that another day, I promise. It doesn't affect me in Canada because Peacock is only in the US. I think everybody else just gets to keep their network and keep on going up. I will say, the only benefit to me is if they're trying to sell the network after the network moves to Peacock, they might put NXT back on the network, which means I won't have to watch it on a shitty stream. I'll be in a better mood when I come talk to you guys. It'll all be fine. But speaking of me being in a great mood, let's talk about next week, and let's talk about pay-per-view. Next week, MSK versus Phantasma. Next week, Shotzi and Ember versus The Way. Next week, Ciampa and Thatcher versus the Grizzled Young Veterans. And then we move on to next Sunday. NXT TakeOver, Vengeance Day. Great pay-per-view. I don't even care. Fight me on the logo, fight me on the name. I'm just in the mood. Potentially KROSS versus ESCOBAR, which is a dark horse match in and of itself. Finals of the Men's Dusty, which I'm pretty sure is going to be Grizzled Young Veterans versus MSK. That'll be good. Finals of the Women's Dusty, which I'm pretty sure is going to be Kai and Gonzalez taking on Shotzi and Ember. And that's going to be really good. The women's title triple threat match between Io Shirai, Mercedes Martinez, and Toni Storm. Pretty sure that's going to be really good. Gargano versus Kushida. Pretty sure that's going to be really good. Possibly going to involve Austin Theory. Possibly going to be involving Leon Ruff. Don't call him Leo Rush. And then Dunn versus Balor. I'm really, really biased towards Dunn. Destiny Wrestling, check it off your Spaz Phoenix bucket list. And Balor is, as Edge said tonight, operating on a completely different level for the NXT Championship with the added sort of, you know, guys, Edge is watching and you might be defending that title against him at WrestleMania. There's a lot of good shit going on. Anyways, I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later. But for right now, tagging out. Bye, guys.